What is up, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, day traders, cloud swing traders? Hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. Hope you guys had some phenomenal weekends. You guys are piling into the room. We got Albert in the house. Good morning to Andy, Brian, Cindy. Good morning to David, George, Jay, Kevin, Lauren, Martinez in the house. Good morning to Ryan, Wynn, Wally. Good morning. We got Julie in YouTube land. Good morning to Marie. All my other lurkers in the background of YouTube, welcome, and just hit that like and subscribe button. It just feels good. But yeah, so crazy week last week. We just piled on every good news that the market, I mean, some of it was debatable. A lot of the news was a little debatable, to be honest. But we found some light last week. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not a single down day. Today already we are gapping up, at least from the close. Still inside day, so that's a little different. We've had 2 days where we just gapped up. Oops, that was a new share. 2 days where we gapped up above the entire close of the previous day. What is this Zoom thing? Check out the brand new toolbar. I don't know if I like that one. I don't know if I like that new toolbar. Okay. Still can get my pen back. But we had two open gaps here. There's one, there's two, and we'll see what happens on today. But today is a little bit of a gap up. We do have still inside day, still kind of at a pretty big resistance, I would think. And then I do have the magic number 438.91 above us. So if we do want to start breaking out of this, and this is not a horrible, I don't like this new toolbar thing. I wonder if I can move this thing on the screen. Let's see. Nope, cannot. That's crazy, Zoom. But yeah, I think there's got to be some kind of a pullback eventually. Does not have to come today. There's not really any new developments. I think there's a small regional bank in, I don't know where it was, Illinois, something like that, that did go under. It's under the name Citizens Bank, but it's different, so just don't get alarmed there. But it is another bank failure over the weekend. Otherwise, nothing else crazy. The biggest things that we had, the first thing we had last week on Monday, we had the Treasury refund number come out. At least that was the rumor, and then Wednesday solidified it. So the refund rate, basically, they're saying that we need to borrow less debt than they originally thought, by like $2 billion. So we had $2 billion less that the government needs to borrow. The crazy thing, and again, so the market looked at that going, okay, that's good. But quarter over quarter, we actually needed about 5 billion more than we needed previous quarter. So is it really that great? No, but the market took it as positive because we were saying, okay, we probably need less than we wanted. Then we had JP come in with his nonchalant attitude, pretty much suggesting he doesn't really want to raise rates anymore. So that was a positive. And then we had unemployment, the rate go up. So we had more people with less jobs. And the market said, okay, that's probably going to help support the case that Jerome Powell's not going to raise those rates anymore. So we had three heavy hitting reports and news last week in a macro sense. And that gave us a little bit of a runway, breathing room. Markets took off. You also see TLT start to recover a little bit as well. We'll see what this week brings. The 14th is the next big date that I'm looking for. And I don't even know if that's this week. I don't know what today is. I think that's what, next week. But that's the next one. That's the CPI number comes out. So if that comes in hot, that's going to throw a lot of worry back into the market. And does any of this thing last? Probably not at that point. But if it comes in light and inflation is still looking like it's coming down, we're still not at 2%. We're at like 3.6% inflation right now. So he still has a little bit of work to do. And that's going to probably support the case that we will be hanging out here longer. Otherwise, into a little resistance, 5 days in a row, all bullish, smack in the middle from the next target of 438.91. The low end of that, if we do start coming down, 431.82, and we'll see where we want to go from there. Qs, Q. But right now, yeah, in terms of news or any catalyst, there's nothing really out there. We also survived a big earnings week too last week. I forgot to mention that. Big earnings week. We got all the magnificent 7 stocks out of the way. They're behind us. And I think Apple was the only struggle bus, and it's not like they didn't make money. They just missed the estimate, so a little bit different. Q, same type of deal, right into this resistance. I'm looking for I want to see like 369.86 break. If we could get higher than that, that would be us getting above those VPOCs. The next level up from there, I think, could get us to like 372, maybe into like this 374 zone. So we would have a little bit more room, but this is a heavy resistance zone. I'm actually thinking we get a little bit more chop than not. So I think we start getting some chop in the zone, probably a few days of it, I think. And then that would determine which way we break out from there. I would actually like to see a little bit of chop first, because that would get us a little bit more, some people moving positions around and trying to set up for that next move, whichever direction that might be. But if things just go straight up, it's very likely they go straight down eventually. TLT had a good gap up again on Friday. That one started to retrace. All of this is a retest gap, so that's still kind of expected. Today we are still opening higher than Thursday's VPOC, which the level I want to see hold is 86.91. If we could hold that, I think we're still running a little bit bullish. If that starts to slip, then we have a good likely chance we come back down to $85. That's the next level that would have to hold on this thing. And if we start to give that up, I think all the fear comes back into the market. So watch that first level, 86.91. If that does start to slip, we probably see that chop play out a little bit heavier in the market. Otherwise, $85 is the zone that we really want to start to hold. Lauren says CVX. Bullish engulfing candle. We did hold, built a little support. Again, I think for the most part, they gapped down on the fact that they were buying Hess, which short term, and they're not spending money. I mean, it was an all stock deal. But the market did punish it a little bit for that one. And that's, I think, short term, again, that's going to be looked at as a little bit negative, but longer term, I think is actually a positive for Chevron. So I'm not opposed to buying this dip. You do have technically a gap and go. I would see if we get a little pullback. The bigger thing here is 150.87. If we could break through that 150.87, that would put us to like this 154.38, and then probably eventually to this 157, or essentially 158, 159.44. So we still have a little bit of resistance that I think people are going to try to hold down. We do have a lot of bears that came in on this day. And so it's either they're going to start to take their positions off the table, and that squeezes us a little bit higher, or they're going to want to protect that position. So for right now, I think my initial target would be this 150.73 zone. However, that we didn't collapse like crazy right after that high volume straight down day. We built a little bit of support, almost a bullish engulfing candle, and then one little rest day. So I do like that one a lot. I would probably rather go bullish than bearish on it. It almost looks not quite 3-bar playish, but a little bit. I mean, you have that small resting candle, upper high. There wasn't as much volume. There was volume, but there wasn't as much volume on that green candle, and it wasn't necessarily a breakout candle. If it was a breakout candle, it would have got to close probably somewhere above that 150.67. But otherwise, yeah, pretty decent. I would act as almost not a gap and go, more of a retest, which is why I said just see if you get a small candle. I wouldn't want to see something too big, but maybe even a retest into like 148.17. See if we get the break out of there, because I think not a lot of emotions went wild on Friday as we just kind of hung out. But this candle might have had some shorts kind of acting a little bit, closing some positions. Tesla. The Tessie. So there's a gap and go. Tesla's, I don't know. I mean, the entire market was going pretty crazy last week, and Tesla was still throwing in those rando wicks. Just trading on it was very, very odd, but we did end the week higher, which is good. We took out this candle. We got a good close above this. I think in the future, at least 207.52 is going to be a decent retest spot. But this is a gap and go, still inside day. A lot of moving averages coming in on us. I don't know what those wicks were, honestly. So we'll see if they start to evaporate and we don't see those anymore. That would be fantastic. Otherwise, even this close right at the support resistance from all the way back here of October 19th. We have this gap to fill, so that's impressive. I think we still get a little bit of chop in here, so it's inside day here, with some moving averages coming down on us. Really no bullish catalyst that I could see. Let's see. Rally will fizzle out in a week or two, says Morgan Stanley. So, all right, Morgan Stanley is giving us the exact time frame this thing is going to fizzle. Tesla's got a 27,000 EV, is boosting the stock. Okay. We'll see. We'll see. Again, I'd probably see if we get some chop first, wait 15 minutes, and then maybe we could pick a direction. Otherwise, I don't know if I really wouldn't want to short this thing, but if this thing comes back down to, if the stock comes back down to like 220.41-ish, that would be a good spot to try it. And then if we could start getting a little bit higher, so if we could get a break, maybe about 224.23, that might take us into the next moving average of 230.90. So we'll see. We'll see. But Tesla's been acting a little strange. NVIDIA, the vids. Decent gap up again. 1, 2, 3, 4 days in a row, essentially 5, but really 4 days in a row of actual positive gains. Starting to get into this decent resistance zone. Good support that held very, very nicely. A little bit of a trap down there as well. I think we're also coming into a little bit of a downtrend here too, which might give us a little reason to just freeze. Somewhere right about here. That would give us room until this, essentially this VPOC. So somewhere in probably like 459.95. And that's if we could break 455.80. So again, still looks decent, especially if the markets do want to rally and continue up higher. I think NVIDIA will have some decent momentum. Otherwise, we're in the top of that channel. It's a tough spot to go long. I think buying a pullback might make sense if we get it, but otherwise for day trade, it's going to be, I think, a little tough. PayPal for Albert, decent little gap up there. Still a retest gap. It's up a decent amount already for this week. I mean, for last week. Again, starting to come into this little resistance. Is 56.87. Next stop would be 57.17. I don't think I'd be the first one to buy this one out of the gate. This is a retest gap. Let's see if it comes down first, and then look for support probably about 56, 56.03, 56.08, somewhere in that zone. If we can get a little support there, otherwise, I'm trying to think. I mean, where's the volume on this thing? So that's taken out, that's taken out, that one's taken out. I do think somewhere around this $58 numbers. So I'm looking at 57.87, probably a little bit of a stronger resistance. But I think also this should have been, so I think we could have had support. So this is where we should have had support, somewhere down here. That was our support. We've already kind of come down. We broke it. We retested it. Again, I think after the earnings, which weren't horrible, but more so the CEO, I think pumping a little bit of life into the company again does change it a little bit. But yeah, we have to watch this 57.12. So I'd be worried about targets for right now without getting a pullback first. Yeah, I'd have to give this one some time. What I would like is to have a little selling first early in the morning. Why Yellow Pages? I didn't even know Yellow Pages was still a thing. Oh, you okay? You changed it. I was like, wow, I'm gonna try some Yellow Pages today. All right. Unity Software. This one could get definitely some momentum in it. Again, same thing, a little bit of a retest gap. I don't really see the next real target in a bullish direction is $29.03. I think we could probably get higher than that. Maybe take us to like $30.24, something into that range. We did close above this moving average. Still have 3 more to fight through, but the next one is a wide range away. That one's not till $30.53. Essentially that second target. So if I was to take this thing long again, it is a retest gap. Even though we have two other red days here, both of those days closed higher than the other. So essentially this is almost 3. Yeah, see if we get a little pullback on this one too. Let's see. Did it do a pre-market? Yeah, kinda. I guess after hours, maybe. Maybe we had that one little pullback here. $28, 28.01. Pretty great long-term support though, off of a daily chart. So we did get a good bounce off of $24.71. Did we break the? I'm only looking at this is probably a wave 3 that we're in. I really don't like this zoom toolbar. Got it. Not that I don't like it, just have to get used to it. I think this is probably wave 3 to some extent. And then this is probably 4, somewhere up in this zone. I think we get hit with resistance. We want to come down, see if we get that double bottom, and then move out. I think that's how that has to play. I'm definitely not a fan of this zoom toolbar. I don't like how it's like sitting sideways. There's got to be a way to change that. All right, let's see. Shopify, Disney, AMD. Look for more continuation on this one. There's still a little bit more room to go. Probably $62.44. Keep in mind, this has just been an absolute beast after earnings. I think this one day alone was 20%. So, there, I would imagine anybody that was buying down in this zone, between 55 and 50, 55 to 52, somewhere in there. All those guys are now profitable. Anybody that was buying lower, obviously profitable. Anybody that was buying up in this higher range, about to get to break even. And we do have a higher volume area coming in. I'd look for targets for about 64.97, essentially up into that 65, just under $65. If we start to break that $65, but I think people are going to want to take some profits into that high volume area. If we start to break 65, the next stop is $70.33. If that could break, then the next stop is going to take us to about $87. So there is some decent upside to this, but we're really heading into that. Not heading into it. We're into it now with a big number we got to get through, that 65 zone. So I do think there's going to be some profit taken on that. Otherwise, again, it looks like we could get some continuation today. It's only up 3 cents pre-market, so nothing crazy, but even into that $65 range, it's still $3.50, $4.50 on the way up. It's not bad, but no real setup that looks crazy yet. We're just kind of hoping for continuation on that. Disney. I've had a couple requests for Disney today. Inside day into that resistance again. They have their earnings this week. So how that's going to affect it, that's Wednesday. Disney comes out with some earnings. We've seen most earnings be pretty good. The one that didn't, and I don't know how that's going to affect. Well, you know what? Even airlines weren't that great on earnings, and that would be travel. Airbnb, they were down. So I'm just kind of figure out how this one plays into Disney. Just is travel in general down? Some of the casinos were good though. But Disney does have earnings coming out, so we'll find out in 2 short days. Otherwise, it does look like it's trying to hold a good $80 level. If those earnings come out negative and this thing starts to break below 80, that is a horrible look for Disney. Otherwise, right now, yeah, you still have almost like a channel right here. So this is we're at the high end of this channel again, right there. And then the support on this one is probably somewhere around $80. So right around that is our channel. So if this thing breaks out first, I'd watch to see if we could break maybe somewhere around like this 85, 82, come back, retest it. This is a good spot. So a lot of these charts that we're looking at, and I know it's kind of a little bit like a broken record. A lot of these things are having good bullish moves, but we've already had a really good week last week. So that week's already in place. There's already people that were buying just off of all good news last week. I think we're starting to get into a little bit of a trap zone. That's what worries me. We're starting to get to, I think, a little spot where, like, yeah, okay, we're about to break, and then that's where those traps come in. Then you get your retest and pullbacks. So even for like a long-term perspective, I don't really want to be buying it here. Um, in a long-term, like 10-year time frame, $85 is probably still a decent price, right? So I wouldn't be opposed, but I wouldn't want to buy today. I don't think. I want to wait for even a mini pullback, see what happens, maybe even on the earnings, see if we get a retest from earnings, something like that. But we are at the higher end of some of these channels, which is not good. AMD. AMD. Uh, unless we're back in 2020, I don't know. Everything feels like if I don't want to go short. I really don't want to go short. Uh, but if I don't know. I don't know how these markets want to take the news we got from last week. Again, we're kind of celebrating a potential recession. This feels like I'm chasing for sure, right? If I was to get AMD and I'm going long, I think that's the way to play it. But I also think I'd be the most terrified bull in this thing. Next target 117.34. So you still have probably about $5 to the higher side from here. It is a good little gap. Again, technically it's inside day, so that's often means at least be patient at open, and it is a retest gap. So we'll see if we get some pullback to the way down. I mean, if I was to look to buy it, probably about 110.11. I think that's still a chase. But you did have an inside resting day. Technically, we did come back. We retested already. So on a technical basis, everything still looks good in the bullish direction. If you're holding it bullish, I would keep holding it. If we could get an intraday setup somewhere, that would be a bullish breakout. So if we could get some selling at the beginning, get the hammer, we get high waves on pretty much any of the stocks we looked at so far. Chevron, I think, was the only one that looked a little different that I think I could probably play out of the gate. Otherwise, it's just buy high, sell higher, which is essentially 2020 again. Maybe. RBLX. Roblo. What's the short float on Roblox? Do they still have a decent one? RBLX. Nothing crazy. 4.48. So it's okay. It's not bad. We can still squeeze some people on this gap. Decent short float. Technically a retest gap. I like this location. It's opening a lot. We still have some room to run. Probably next target would be about 36.93. So it gives us about $1.40. All right, I'm gonna have to move Roblox pretty high on the list. I still want a little retest to come in, but it doesn't have to be big. We don't have to get down back to $35. We could get into this 200. Maybe we look for a bullish bounce off there. So some kind of trap candle, something like that around 35.28 that we could take a break of. Again, I still don't want to be the first one to buy, but this one does have a little bit more room on it. And you got just under 5% short float on it. So it's not like everybody is bearish on this thing. It's just decent enough to get some kind of squeezing. Downtrend wise, I mean, it overall looks like some kind of just big pennant pattern. Even that would give us some decent room too. So target will probably be, I mean, I don't know if we're going to see it today, but I would be looking for my target around $40, just above $40. And then if that breaks, then we're trying to see if we could play this downtrend, which is 43.02, and see if that wants to break from there for a much bigger move. But yeah, not horrible. Looks like they do have earnings coming out too, so be careful if you're looking to swing trade things. That's also on Wednesday. So we got Wednesday, we got Disney, and we got Roblox. Ivo's in the house. What's up, Ivo? All right. AG. This is Silver Corp. Looks like we looks like we broke down. This is the candle that would have to break. If we want to go bullish, I would still put a little bit more bearish pressure on this thing. It looks like we're just bouncing into the support now, probably the opportunity to short. And then any short that you have, your stop's going to be somewhere around $5.27. Looks like they gapped down on earnings, which is looks like they had a major miss on earnings per share. Revenue, they did beat by $3 million. But this looks like almost a retest candle from Friday. And I think there's going to be, at least for now, some more short pressure on this thing. I wouldn't touch this thing in a long direction unless we got some kind of break above 520, 525, 526, something like that. But I think more pressure to the downside. Google, aka Alphabet, nothing too crazy on this one. Next, again, I would look for continuation. We had a little bit of a gap up. That was a retest. That did retest. Good close yesterday. I think there's still bullish momentum in this thing. Next immediate target, I think we get to about $30.22. After that, I'm looking for a break and then use that $30.22 as my support. And then we have a lot of room back up to like 137.01. Probably next immediate target, I think people are going to be looking to take profits would be about 135. So we do have a little bit of room to run into this one. If we could break this 130.30, everything else in this chart does look pretty decent, where I think, again, I wouldn't want to short. I know I said that already. I don't really want to take this as a short. Doesn't mean I have to go long, but if I was to take Google anywhere, it would be still long. Meta. Yeah, just give me a small pullback on this one. Give me a small pullback. We're still inside of this candle. Technically, we have a little retest here. So see if we get a little drop into like 315. I want to use 315 as my support. Otherwise, even though this is a big red candle, technically it was just a retest candle. We did hang out inside, built a little extra pressure on Friday, and I think we can carry it home from there. So I still want to stick bullish on Meta. Next target, longer term at least, would probably be 321. So that's still $7, $7, $8 to the higher side. And if we could break that, we got one more up here, which would be roughly what, 327 and change. I can't see the exact number, but 327 and change. So yeah, I'd still want to be bullish, but today definitely want to wait for that. Again, small little pullback on that. We'll see. But that bell is about to ring. Everybody out there in YouTube land, I appreciate you joining us each and every day. I believe we got Malone's on the mic tomorrow for you guys in YouTube land. Be safe out there in the market. Again, I don't see any real negative catalyst. Now we've got to play the psychological game in the market of, well, we just had a tremendously bullish week last week. The guy from Morgan Stanley says we got about 2 weeks more of bullishness. Maybe he's right, maybe he's wrong. But we do have to start thinking, is people going to take profits? Are they going to take those profits yet, or are they going to let it roll? But definitely some decent news from the market, and there's nothing over the weekend that negates that. So I still